did I ask you for $4,000 a month? Please tell me, Dr. Gregory.
Well, this is how it went down, Phaedra. When I met you, I was very taken by you and I was pursuing you. And we had a frank conversation.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Married to Medicine Season 10 Reunion Parts 1 through 3. Now, I'm not going to hold you guys. The first part was the best part. And quiet as it's kept, we did not need a 3-part reunion. This was a very lackluster season of Married to Medicine. It had promise in the beginning, but in the second half, things went downhill when they kicked Quad out the group, in my personal opinion. Because after that Napa trip, the episodes were boring and very stale. A few of the episodes I didn't even review because that's how bad it was. I had no commentary. But y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. Now, we opened up the first part and we started off the gate with drama. You have everybody getting glammed up in their dressing rooms and Sweet Tea's posting these old pictures of Heavenly, and on the bottom of the paper, she wrote frying pan free zone. And it's that old picture of when Heavenly and Damon were younger and they're both sitting at some event. And it's not the most flattering picture of Heavenly. So let me just say this. I was not surprised to see Sweet Tea be petty because the way that her and Heavenly have been going at it for months now, they have been going for the jugular on Instagram Live every single week. So that did not surprise me. And a quick side note, I don't know if it's just me, but I still have mixed feelings about Sweet Tea. I mean, yes, she does make for good TV, but there were definitely some parts during the reunion where I was just like, she's very unlikable. And may I say, Married to Medicine, they have never been fashion girls. But I think that these were some of the gaudiest reunion looks I've seen in quite some time. I thought that everybody's dress was an eyesore. It was hard watching. The colors were contrasting each other. It was a lot. Andy starts it off by asking if any of the women have had any special beauty treatments before the reunion. Sweet Tea says that she got some vitamin D beforehand. And Quad's like, oh, what kind of vitamin D? Sweet Tea, you set yourself up for this when you said, wouldn't you like to know? And Quad said, girl, I already had it. And Sweet Tea was visibly bothered because then she goes on to say, well, it's a little different now. You have Toya backing her up saying, oh yeah, it's got some salt and pepper. And I said, at the end of the day, Sweet Tea, you set yourself up for that one when you said, wouldn't you like to know? You're speaking to your husband's ex-wife. She knows all about it. And she didn't want any more of it. That's why she divorced him. You're the one who thinks that he's this prize and you're just so happy to be with him. Was it just me or did it feel a bit shady when Auntie kept playing back the old clips of the old seasons and we see a clip of Toya and Simone fighting? I think it was in season 2 or season 3. And I'm like, why are they playing this? And throughout the reunion, they kept choosing the worst clips. I was like, what's the point of this? So now we started off with Phaedra's segment and Andy wants to know, how would she compare Married to Medicine to Housewives? So Phaedra says that on Housewives, they were a very cantankerous group, very boisterous. And on Married to Medicine, they're very much in support of marriage. And if you even mention the word separation on Housewives, they're going to encourage you to get a divorce. And Phaedra, I said this when you guys were in Hilton Head, but even if you had been on Married to Medicine while you were married to Apollo, the marriage would not have lasted. I never thought that you and Apollo were evenly yoked. I always felt like Apollo saw you as a come up. That's what I thought. So it didn't matter if you were on a different show. I don't think that your marriage would have survived anyway. Honestly, I don't feel like Phaedra brought anything to this season of Married to Medicine. It was the same stuff that we had seen on Housewives. The same one-liners, the same ooh, child, and and all that fake Southern Belle crap, and her being evasive, not sharing her real life. She has this fake doctor boyfriend that we never saw. So it was like, what was the point of having her on Married to Medicine? So now Andy addresses how Phaedra switched up on Quad and how she switched her flight so that she wouldn't be on the same flight as Quad when they went to Napa Valley. One thing about Phaedra that has always driven me nuts, The fact that Phaedra can just out and out lie. Phaedra's talking in circles like she always does, and she says, well, Toya had called me up and told me that her and Quad weren't seeing eye to eye, and I didn't even think that Quad would want to go anyway. I was happy that Quad saw right through the BS. She called Phaedra out. She said I was very hurt by Phaedra's actions, and it was clear that Phaedra didn't want to be around me anymore because she felt like the other women didn't like me, so she jumped ship. And Phaedra, you would get more respect from the viewers if you would just be honest. Why is that so hard for you? Just stand 10 toes down in how you feel. But you talk in circles and you make yourself look even worse. You made absolutely no sense when you said, well, it's not that I was ditching Quad, it's just that why would I attach myself to the Titanic? I said, so you're pretty much admitting that you did not want to be around Quad because the group did not want to be around her, so you want to hop on the bandwagon and be with the group versus being on an island with Quad. You wanted to get with the winning team, and you did that. Just say that. And I wish that somebody would have the balls to just call Phaedra out and how she's a liar. Because when Andy touched on it, he went on to ask Heavenly, do you think that Phaedra has a funny relationship with the truth? And Heavenly says, well, I'm not saying that, but I will say that when I first met Phaedra, she told me that she did not date Dr. G, and then later on she told me, well, maybe I did date him. And every time this topic gets brought up, Phaedra always gets defensive. She now jumps in and says, well, let's clear something up because when black people say that they're dating somebody, that means that there's carrying on. No, I think that everybody of all races recognizes dating as you go out with somebody that you like, there's mutual attraction, and that's it. So don't try to say, oh no, that means that it's sexual. That's not what it means. We just mean you went out on a few dates, had some fun, and that was that. I feel like Phaedra's maybe embarrassed that she ever did go out with Dr. G, so now she wants to deny it. But sis, if you did, you did, and that's okay. Like, nobody cares. That happened 20 years ago. Nobody's saying that you had sex with the man, but I do think that you went out on a few dates. Phaedra goes on to say that she's never kissed Dr. G, never had any romantic dealings. She possibly held hands with him, but that was it. So now Sweet Tea jumps in and says, well, he did tell me that you guys kissed. Phaedra denies that, and Sweet Tea says, well, I don't know why he would lie. I don't think that Dr. G is lying about this. I do think that they went out a few times and there probably was a kiss here and there, and that was that. Phaedra Parks is the same woman who lied about her due date on national TV. So if she could lie about that, something that's easily clockable, then I definitely believe that she's lying about her dealings with Dr. Gregory. I do. So Quad jumps in and she co-signs. She said, look, when I was married to Gregory, he told me, hey, I used to date Phaedra. We went out, we had a good time, things were going well, until one day she told me that she needed $4,000 a month and I had to let her go because that's not my ministry. So now Quad calls out Phaedra's comments in her confessional earlier on when Phaedra said, $4,000, what can I do with that? And Quad says, if you were with him for 3 months, that's $12,000. That's enough to get you a bag. And now you have another $2,000 left over to buy yourself some shoes. Everybody was screaming because when I tell you Quad clocked it. I don't care what anybody says. Married to Medicine needs Quad. Quad is the missing ingredient to this show. The rest of these women don't have it. And that's no shade, but it was a very boring season without Quad there. The only reason why it got interesting was when Sweet Tea went off on Dr. Jackie. But other than that, if we didn't have that moment, the entire season would have been a bust. So people can say what they want, but Quad needs to be on this show for the sake of the ratings and for the sake of the entertainment factor, because she is it. And honestly and truthfully, after what happened at the end of this reunion, Quad definitely got her job back. Let's just call a spade a spade. Quad will be back, signed, sealed, and delivered for a full-time contract next season. And Phaedra knows she's lying because she can't even deny it about asking Dr. G for $4,000. She goes on to say, well, if I did ask him, he obviously didn't have it, and y'all both married him. I said, girl, not too much, because Dr. G is a doctor. Meanwhile, you married a man fresh out of prison because you thought that he was so sexy and so cute. And we never knew what Apollo did for a job. One minute he was a nutritionist, then the next minute he was helping you with your workout DVDs. Baby, he had a new job every single season. There was one time before you guys got divorced, you even admitted that you had no idea what he did. I wouldn't say too much about what Dr. G did or didn't have because your man or your ex-man didn't have it either. All he had for you was some good D. So as we're winding down with Phaedra's segment, Andy wants to know if Phaedra and Quad want to salvage their friendship. Quad says, I do. And Phaedra says, the thing is, I want friends, but I don't want to feel like if Quad is angry at me, that she's going to go around dragging me and talking about me. Then she goes on to add that trust is earned. Now, Phaedra, for you to say that trust is earned, that has to be the funniest thing I've heard in years. Because, girl, you're the biggest liar. Also, Phaedra, just be honest. You ditched Quad. You wanted to be with the cool girls, and you did not want to be over there by yourself with just you and Quad, and that could lead to you being off the show if you decide to side with her and not with the rest of the women, because they could have iced you out too. So please don't act like Quad is just in the wrong for being upset with you when you ditched her. And let's not act like Phaedra is a saint when she's mad at somebody. Phaedra is very vindictive. Phaedra is very nasty when she's mad. You lied on Candy because you were angry at her. Let's not forget that. So now we get to Toya's segment, and Andy starts it off by asking, where do her and Eugene stand in their marriage? And Toya says that they're actually in a great space. So Simone jumps in and says that she wants Toya to stop being so critical of Eugene. And Toya's like, that's not going to happen. He knew who he was dealing with when we got together. When we first started dating, he used to drink 1800 and I used to drink something else. And then she goes on to say that when they would go out to restaurants, he would order by the glass and she would order by the bottle. And I said, now, Toya, I know you want to act like you're so classy and so elegant, but you are still at your core tacky. So Andy's curious to find out about Toya's upbringing. He says, you grew up in Detroit. Did you always grow up living well? So Toya says that her dad lives in a neighborhood where she wouldn't even leave her car overnight. And when she was younger, I think she said in middle school, her mom moved them to the suburbs and she used to go to school with these shoes on. I forgot what brand she said, but they were the equivalent to Payless sneakers. And so she got teased all the time. And from there, that's where she wanted to live up to other people's expectations because she hated feeling teased and feeling like she was beneath other people. Now, that makes sense because the way Toya put so much of an emphasis and so much of her self-worth into material items, I wasn't surprised that she had a childhood story where she felt like she was less than. Because the way she acts about material items now, it's clear that she's trying to compensate for how she felt growing up. There is nothing wrong with liking luxury and liking designer things. I like them too. But it becomes a problem when you base your self-esteem and your self-worth off of things. Own the things, don't let the things own you. In Toya's case, I feel like the things have definitely owned her because she's all about impressing people, trying to one-up somebody, trying to have something more than somebody else. And that's why I feel like she's in the boat that she's in financially, with them always having to move because her priorities are not in the right place. Toya has always reminded me so much of Sheree Whitfield from Atlanta because they have the same exact mentality when it comes to things and money and how they will spend their last dime to keep up with people, even though we all know that they don't have it like that. I'm not even going to waste precious breath talking about Toya's stupid responses when Andy called her out about not donating the $1,000 for the Met Gala. And Toya was talking in circles. She made absolutely no sense. I had secondhand embarrassment that we are at the reunion, and instead of copping to the fact that you look tacky, cheap, and broke, you're trying to double down on it by saying that you're in the right.
Ladies, may we get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
Toya, for somebody who claims to have all this class and you worry about what people think about you, you would think that you would have written that check for $1,000 like that. You're not as sophisticated as you think you are. And that's what I mean about Toya's priorities being all over the place. Because you have no issue dropping $20,000 for a purse, but now you don't want to write a check for $1,000 for a black tie event? Does that make sense to anybody? Because it's not clicking for me. So now it's time for Dr. Jackie's segment, and I'm not going to hold you guys. I want to understand, how did Dr. Jackie's comments turn into let's pin this and blame Quad? Dr. Jackie got off way too easy, in my personal opinion, and he skated right past all this drama that happened with Dr. Jackie and those comments resurfacing. But anyhow, Andy brings up Dr. Jackie's comments from a few years ago when she was on Dr. Heavenly's YouTube channel, and how it had resurfaced with her saying that black women are dramatic and cry wolf. So immediately, Dr. Jackie is crying. The tissues are out. I said, oh, okay, here we go. So Dr. Jackie says that that was one of the hardest places that she's ever had to sit in, and for those words to tear down everything that she's ever worked for, it was devastating. So now Andy brings up how Phaedra was the first one to stand up for Jackie, and Phaedra says, of course I did, because I know what it's like firsthand to be canceled. I said, Phaedra, I know you do. And I know that you thank the good Lord up above every single day that Bravo lets you back in the fold and that the viewers have warmed back up to you. Phaedra's image has now been revamped. Everybody loves her again. She had an amazing season on Traitors. If you didn't watch The Traitors, please go on Peacock and watch it. When I tell you, that is one of the best shows I have ever seen, hands down. But yeah, I know that Phaedra has to be thanking God every day that he allowed her to have a second chance again, being a reality star. So Dr. Jackie says that all the women rallied around her. Dr. Simone was at her house every day. Toya was calling her around the clock. Dr. Heavenly was sending teddy bears and flowers and chocolates. And then Dr. Jackie points out that Quad was the only one who did not reach out to her. Now, let me pause for a minute, right? Because Dr. Jackie, for you to be upset that Quad did not reach out to you during your time of need, I think is pretty funny, considering the fact that you guys kicked her off of the show and kicked her out of the group. You were very smug. You weren't kind to her. You just watched her sob at that table and fight for her life. You didn't come to her defense. But now that you're dealing with something, you're facing backlash, now you want Quad's love and support? And don't get me wrong, we know that Quad is not the best when it comes to reaching out to people. She's not really that great of a friend from what it sounds like from everybody else. But we can't sit up here and act like Quad is a villain because she wasn't there for Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie gave Quad her ass to kiss. So no, I don't know why anybody's so surprised that Quad didn't reach out. Would you reach out to somebody who kicked you off the show that you're on, reducing your income? I don't think so.
No.
So Quad says, well, first and foremost, let me just say, Dr. Jackie is an amazing doctor, and I empathize with her because I too know what it feels like to be harassed by a group of people. So you have Toya making faces, mumbling under her breath, and I said, damn, you really hate Quad that badly. Everything that Quad said, she was rolling her eyes and making a face like, Toya, please stop. Andy wasn't here for Quad trying to give this speech. He says, I'm still trying to figure out why didn't you reach out to Dr. Jackie? So Quad says that she was dealing with her own issues as well. And we know what she was dealing with. She was dealing with the hurt and the pain of being embarrassed on national TV by being kicked out of the group and kicked off of this show. So Quad says that she did send a group text over Christmas telling Dr. Jackie to keep her head up. So now we end Dr. Jackie's segment with Dr. Jackie saying, may I say one thing? I just want everybody to know that I love my patients, I care about them, and I am invested in them. So now Andy says, Dr. Jackie, if I had a vagina, I would go to you. Now, let me just say this. That was one of the shortest segments I have ever seen. The way Andy has grilled other housewives and other people on other shows about things that they've said, I was waiting for Andy to really hold her feet to the fire, because her saying that is problematic. And the fact that so many Black women have stories of not being taken seriously when it comes to their health, it's a serious issue. So no, I don't feel like that was an adequate segment or an adequate grilling of Jackie and her comments. She got off easy. And if I'm being honest, I really think that Dr. Jackie's just upset that people are holding her feet to the fire, because she's not used to having to answer for what she says. She's able to get away with being nice nasty, and she feels like she's above reproach and nobody can ever question her or stand up to her. So the fact that folks are calling her out for what she said, she's not used to this. I think that's the real reason why she's so upset. So now it's time for Quad segment. Miss Quad, she's got it, she's got it. They play her montage, and already Quad's a bit emotional because she knows that it's about to be her versus everybody on this stage. So Quad starts it off by saying that this group has had their ups and downs and how she's not perfect, and she's hurt quite a few of the women on this cast. She says Toya being one of them. So Quad brings up last year's drama where Quad was repeating that she was cheating on Eugene with somebody in the neighborhood. Then she goes on to add that the same way she was upset when Simone was saying that she was sleeping with her contractor, she had no right to spread that rumor about Toya cheating on Eugene. So she says, once again, Toya, I was wrong for that, and I should not have said that, and I'm very sorry. And what really pissed me off was how Toya couldn't even be gracious and accept the apology. She's like, well, that's the first time Quad has ever just apologized without trying to justify her actions. And I'm like, Toya, just say thank you and move on. My God, you really show that you don't like Quad. And I've always suspected that maybe you're a bit jealous because Quad became the fan favorite and the it girl of this cast, and you wanted that to be you. Now, is Quad exhausting? Yes. Does she have a hard time taking ownership? Yes. Can she be irritating? Yes. But you can't deny that she was being sincere in this moment about, look, I'm sorry. I said that. I was wrong. Please accept it and please forgive me. And you can't be upset with that. And then when Toya said, oh, it just feels like this apology is very convenient, I said, Toya, oh my gosh. Toya is insufferable. All the nasty and hateful things that Heavenly has said to you over the years, you can forgive her, but you can't forgive Quad. It's stuff like that that shows me that Toya, for some reason, just does not want to like Quad. So now Toya brings up the Napa Valley trip and how Quad isn't being truthful. She says that when you were at that dinner pleading for your life, you said that you were there for me. And then before that dinner, you said to me, Letitia, and Simone that you were only here for the check. Quad makes it clear that she only said that because she felt like they didn't even want her there. So Toya's like, you could have called me. Now, Toya, I call BS on that because I'm pretty sure that had Quad called you prior to the trip, you probably would have told her, don't come. And even Quad said, well, I didn't call you because you don't like me. And Toya, like I've been saying, you do not like Quad. And I know that you guys have tried to have a friendship, but at your core, you don't like Quad. For some reason, you think that she's beneath you and you don't want to like her. So now they change gears in the conversation, and Andy brings up the resurrection event, and he wants to know, what do the women want to hear from Quad? So Dr. Jackie says, well, I was hoping to hear from Quad. I messed up and I haven't been there for you guys. So now you have Quad making excuses. You have Simone jumping in. So now Heavenly jumps in and she shares that she had called Quad up and asked Quad if Quad had any hand in the resurfaced comments coming up with Jackie saying that Black women cry wolf when they're at the doctor, because a lot of the women in the group thought that Quad was behind that. Now let's stop for a minute, right? How could Quad be behind that when the video is still up from 4 years ago? Unless you've deleted the video anything that you said on video that you uploaded to YouTube, the video can be resurfaced at any time. So for them to blame Quad for this says that you guys just want her to be the villain, because that's really sad. Also, blame Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie is the one who said those ignorant comments. I said this is insane that y'all want to find a way to blame Quad for what Jackie said. So Quad reveals that she was shocked to hear this, and she asked Heavenly, is that what the girls are thinking? And then she told Dr. Heavenly, well, if that's the case, I need to call Dr. Jackie up and tell her that it's not me. And then Quad reveals that Heavenly told her not to call Jackie right now because it's not a good time. And that's the real reason why she did not call Jackie when all this mess happened. Now, I think that Heavenly did that on purpose. I think that Heavenly wanted there to be doubt in Jackie's mind that it was Quad. Because why would you tell Quad not to call Dr. Jackie? I keep telling y'all, Dr. Heavenly wants to be Dr. Jackie's only best friend. And she does not care if Dr. Jackie falls out with everybody as long as she's there by her side. So now there's some back and forth because Andy goes on to ask Quad if she calls the ladies. Simone screams out, no, she doesn't. Now, if I were Andy, Simone would be sitting at the end of the couch because no way would you be screaming in my ear like that for 8 hours straight. That wouldn't be happening. And Dr. Simone, you don't feel crazy screaming like that? I feel like Dr. Simone does that because what does she have to bring to the show? Dr. Simone is boring. So Dr. Simone goes on this rant about it doesn't matter what goes down. She's there for Quad and how she will call her. She goes on to say that she can count about 3 times when she was there for Quad, but she can't say the same about Quad being there and showing up for her. So you have Quad asking, well, were we friends? And Simone says, it doesn't matter because we weren't speaking last year and I still showed up for you. Now, here's where things get messy. Dr. Simone says after the Med Gala, after Napa Valley, after she had a tragedy in her home, and we hear Quad say, Simone, don't do it. And we all know that unfortunately last summer, Quad's great niece drowned in her pool. Devastating, heartbreaking. My heart goes out to Quad and her family. I can't even imagine. But Dr. Simone goes on to say that she reached out to Quad when that happened and how friendship is not about this platform. Now at this point, we see Quad is sobbing. And it was so bad that you have Phaedra holding her and she's also fanning her. And I was like, Dr. Simone, I understand that you were trying to make a point about you're there for Quad, but you did not have to bring that up. You know that that's a bit too much. Quad was even saying, Simone, please don't bring that up. Like, just stop. And it felt like Dr. Simone did that on purpose to add more drama to the conversation and to really drill it home that she's this great friend while Quad is a shitty friend. I don't know. I didn't like it. It didn't sit right with me. That's nobody else's story to tell except for Quad's. There might be mixed opinions down below. That's fine. But I feel like Dr. Simone, there was no need to talk about that and bring that up. You could have just left it at, I've been there for Quad many times. She's not there for me. And let that have been the conversation. Simone screaming and hollering about how she's opened up her home to Quad and how she's never been to Quad's home unless there were cameras and a microphone. So Quad interjects and says, may I please speak? Because there was a time when Simone and I were super close. We fell out. I still don't remember why we fell out, but we went to dinner and I said, Simone, I want to apologize for anything that I've done to you. And Dr. Simone said to me, you don't have to apologize. You've done nothing to me. I just don't want to make Toya mad. So of course, Dr. Simone is denying it. And anytime she feels a way, she starts screaming and throwing a tantrum like she's 3 years old. Dr. Simone, the fact that you are in your 50s carrying on like this, why can't you get your point across without screaming like that? Dr. Simone going on about how Toya is there for her, she's her friend, and how Toya and Eugene have cooked for her, how Toya has loved on her. I said, all right, Dr. Simone, just admit that you said you don't want to piss off Toya. I can see it. You and Toya are very close. I could definitely see you saying, look, Quad, I like you in real life, but on the show, I will throw you under the bus because me and Toya are on camera and off camera friends, and I'm not trying to piss her off. So, you know, when we're on camera filming, I am going to have to side with her to not make her upset. I could definitely see Dr. Simone saying that. It's a sad day when I'm agreeing with Heavenly, because even Heavenly says, but Simone, that's not a reason to be upset with Quad. But Quad says that she does want to say thank you to Simone for reaching out to her and being there for her when the tragedy happened with her niece. And then she says that she appreciates it and how she still struggles with that today. So we end the first part with Andy letting them go for lunch. And as everybody's heading back to their dressing rooms, we see Quad pull Jackie to the side and she's like, Jackie, do you really believe that I would do that to you? Dr. Jackie goes on to say that she was in a really bad place. And I said, Dr. Jackie, just answer the question. Did you think that Quad set you up, yes or no? And also, that doesn't even make any sense because you set yourself up by making those stupid comments in the first place. So don't try to put the blame on anybody else but yourself. I really hated seeing Quad sob like that. And then you have Dr. Jackie just looking at her. And when Quad kept repeating, I would never do that to you, Jackie, and Dr. Jackie wouldn't even acknowledge that. I'm so tired of Dr. Jackie acting like she's so above it all when she said, the problem is, Quad, you and I aren't that connected. And I said, Dr. Jackie, what does that have to do with anything? If you think that Quad is the one who is behind that video resurfacing, then just say it with your chest. But all this talking in circles and saying, well, the problem is we're not connected, that's some BS and you know it. And now we see Dr. Jackie saying, I'd rather lose a friend than to lose myself. But like I said in the beginning, the first part of this reunion was the best part, definitely the most entertaining. Quad stole the show. And I really think that she will be back as a full-time cast member come season 11. She got her job back because on social media, everybody was on Quad's side. Nobody saw it for Simone or Jackie. Everybody was rallying around Quad. I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer right now. For parts 2 and 3, we're going to be speeding through because I thought that these 2 parts were lackluster. I could care less about the husbands coming out and having their one-on-one time with Andy. I wasn't moved, I wasn't entertained, and I was distracted watching them because I just don't care. Again, every reunion does not need to be 3 parts. It is okay to end it after 1 part or 2 parts and call it a day. But we did not need 3 parts for a lackluster season. But we open up part 2 with Quad and Jackie still talking. And they both vow to do better in their friendship and they hug it out. Now we see Quad walk into Dr. Simone's dressing room. She's giving her speech about how she wants to be friends again. She's tired of the animosity. And Dr. Simone says that she receives it and they hug it out. And I said, it's official. Quad will be back for season 11. She apologized to Toya. She made peace with Dr. Jackie. And she made peace with Dr. Simone. She's in there. She's good. And I'm not mad at that because if they don't want to get rid of anybody else, they damn sure cannot get rid of Quad. Quad is definitely the glue that holds this show together because without her, I don't want to watch the show. They're all back from lunch and now we get into Sweet Tea segment. So Andy's asking Sweet Tea about the status of her health. Remember, we learned this season that she has endometriosis. So Sweet Tea has some good news about her health. She says that she had her surgery, they removed her fibroids, and that her tubes are all cleared. And then she goes on to add that she's not considered infertile just yet. Now, the shade of it all. Andy reads a viewer question asking, how did Sweet Tea feel when Quad and Heavenly were on Watch What Happens Live a few months ago, and they were talking about how Sweet Tea buys fakes from an African man in a parking lot. Now, Sweet Tea, you were not believable when you were like, no, I don't, that's not true. I said, girl, you can't even deny it. Sweet Tea, we could look at you and tell that those bags were fake. And it's no shade, sis, but we're not surprised. Now, Sweet Tea, if you have access to the money, in your words, then why are you out here buying fakes? You must not have that much access to the money. It must be a small amount that you have access to. So now Andy wants to know, how did Sweet Tea feel when Quad made a comment about her style? And you have Sweet Tea saying, I just don't understand. Why are you checking for me? Why are you talking about me? Quad said, because I have 20/20 vision and I was simply answering a question that I was asked. That's why. And I said, Sweet Tea, please do not play yourself. You know good and damn well that Quad is not thinking about you. She is not pressed about you. So don't even turn it into, why are you so pressed about me? Why are you checking for me? It's not the case. They asked her a question. She answered. That was it. Your style isn't good. You look dated. It needs to be upgraded, sis. You need to level up. So now you have Sweet Tea and Quad getting into it because Sweet Tea's claiming that Quad talks about her on social media and she makes fun of her and Dr. G's marriage. And Quad says, no, I only talk about my relationship with him because I can talk about him because we did have a past. And the way they were going at it for quite some time, Andy was hungry because he brought out a piece of chocolate and was eating it and just watching them go at it. I was screaming. I said, where did he get this chocolate bar from? So now we get on the topic of Sweet Tea's dynamics with this group. And Sweet Tea says that when she first joined this group, she was hoping that they would welcome her with open arms. I said, girl, have you been watching this show? Why would you think that? And also knowing that Quad was still going to be on here, do you really think that you were going to get on this show and it wasn't going to be any drama? Are you serious right now? You played yourself thinking that. But anyhow, she goes on to add that Heavenly invited her into this group and how at first things were fine between them, but then things shifted and she noticed that at the bachelorette party, her maid of honor told her that Dr. Heavenly was bashing their union. And then she goes on to add that that was the reason why she uninvited Heavenly to her wedding. And I definitely felt like Dr. Heavenly did Sweet Tea very wrong because she was super sweet to her in the beginning and then she quickly turned on her. I didn't think that was right. I think that Dr. Heavenly purposely set her up and she wanted her to be the butt of the joke. But now Andy addresses Sweet Tea's accusations about Dr. Damon cheating on Heavenly. And we see that the men are watching backstage and Dr. Damon and Dr. G get into a heated exchange because Dr. Damon wants to know, well, if your wife is saying that, then obviously you believe that too. So do you think that I'm a cheater? Dr. G is being evasive. He's not answering. And now they're like, no, answer the question. Do you think that Damon is a cheater? And Dr. G says, no, I don't. And they shake hands. Now, in my opinion, I think that Dr. G was too afraid to say how he really felt. I do think that Dr. G thinks that Dr. Damon is a cheater, but he just said, let me just say no to appease everybody and just make this go away. Now, Dr. Damon has always looked nervous and guilty to me, so I believe the allegations that he has stepped out. And I think that that's a big part of why Dr. Heavenly is so tight-lipped about her marriage. And also why she's so jealous and insecure when other women are around. Sweet Tea stood 10 toes down in it. She said, look, Heavenly has been talking about me, my body, my marriage for months on end. What's her obsession with me? So yeah, I did say that. So Heavenly states that her issue with Sweet Tea is that when Sweet Tea first came into this group, they went out and Sweet Tea told her that Dr. G is controlling. She goes on to say that when Sweet Tea is drunk, she tells all her business. And when she told her that news, she felt concerned because she has a daughter and she just wanted to make sure that Sweet Tea was okay. Now, we do see the clip where Sweet Tea does say he is controlling, and I believe it. Remember, we all watched how Dr. G and Quad were together. We all remember Quad's complaints about Dr. G, so I'm not surprised to hear that he is controlling when it comes to Sweet Tea. I think that Sweet Tea is just so happy to have a man, and a man who has a few dollars in his pocket, that she's willing to overlook red flags just to say that she's married and that she's a wife and that, you know, she has access to the money. Can somebody please tell me what exactly is Heavenly University? Because when Dr. Heavenly said, just in case your marriage doesn't work, I want you to enroll in Heavenly University so you can have a plan B. And I'm like, girl, what? Is anybody enrolled in Heavenly University? What does she do? Listen, it's no shade, but I'm not taking any advice from Dr. Heavenly in any shape, way, or form. I'm not. I was waiting for Dr. Heavenly to finally apologize to Sweet Tea for the nasty things that she said about her, and she just doubled down on everything. Because when they got into it about Sweet Tea's health and her endometriosis, and Heavenly kept saying, look, I was asked a question and I said what I would do if I were in your shoes. And I said, but Heavenly, why can't you just acknowledge that you hurt Sweet Tea's feelings? Why is that so difficult? I think that Dr. Heavenly is beyond insufferable. I have never liked her. I think that she's just the definition of a mean and bitter woman, a pick-me, and she's just not a girl's girl. That's why she has problems with everybody on this cast, except for Dr. Jackie. They bring Dr. Alicia out, and I'm going to tell you right now, we can skip right on by because I wasn't interested. I don't care. It's no shade to Dr. Alicia, but I didn't think that Dr. Alicia brought anything to this show. I thought that she was boring. I don't like her husband. His views are just so antiquated, and he really does believe that men are superior to women, and it shows. And when Dr. Alicia was getting defensive, when Andy was reading the viewer questions, clocking her husband Kema, I said, girl, did you forget what you signed up for? So why are you acting all surprised and so hurt with these shady viewer questions? This is how it goes. I get tired of these women joining these shows and then being so butthurt about the viewers' comments and the backlash and the commentary. That's what comes with the territory. If you're too sensitive, then maybe it's time for you to say, shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
Again, this reunion did not need to be multiple parts. We would have been fine with a cute 90-minute one-parter and called a day because it felt like Andy was trying to drag it on with these silly questions. We see Andy asking Toya if she was worried that the other women wouldn't support her new business with her wine venture. And Toya says, oh no, because they were very supportive. So now Andy calls out Heavenly's past comments about how she always felt like Toya was lazy. So Heavenly says, let's call a spade a spade. When it comes to Toya, she's a lady of leisure. She doesn't like to work. But I will say that she has worked a day in her life. Then she goes on to say, I'm sorry, but Toya just isn't a hard worker. Now, Dr. Heavenly, I would have cursed you out for that because how dare you? At the end of the day, Toya is a mother, and motherhood is the hardest job known to man. Also, let's stop for a minute, right? Because it's clear that Dr. Heavenly is a pick-me who hates seeing other women living in leisure and living a soft life. Not everybody wants to be a workhorse. And I noticed that a lot of people, especially in our community, get really upset when they see a black woman who likes to enjoy her life and live leisurely and relax and take time out for herself. That really is a bother to people because for some reason it triggers people. People expect black women to be mules and workhorses and working themselves out to the bone and being haggard, not getting enough rest, and absolutely not. I'm happy that Toya prioritizes her self-care and still being a mom and a wife. And Heavenly, how dare you feel like Toya is inadequate because she's not trying to work super hard like you are. And I will say that I've encountered a lot of Heavenlies in my life because my parents were able to provide a soft life for me. And when I was younger, I didn't understand why I faced a lot of animosity from peers. But now that I'm older, I get it because they were not used to seeing a little black girl having a very soft and privileged life. That was triggering to a lot of people. It is 2024, and I hope that more black women take time out for themselves, relax. You do not have to work yourself to the bone. I don't care what industry you're in. Take some time out for you every single day. Get a workout in, get your favorite meal, put your feet up, relax, go to the spa. Whatever you want to do, do it. So now we get to the bottom of Dr. Heavenly, and does she have a secret grandchild that she's hiding? Because people on social media spotted that she had enfamil in her house. So Heavenly jokes around that she actually would love to have a grandchild right now, but that's not the case. The reason why she has Enfamil in her house is because Dr. Damon is allergic to milk and he can only have Enfamil in his cereal. The wives go backstage and now the husbands come out to have their time with Andy. Now, like I told you guys, I don't find the Married to Medicine husbands entertaining. So at this part, I have zoned out and we can jump right on into part 3. So we open up part 3 with everybody on the stage now. It's all the women and their husbands. Now, Quad doesn't have a man right now, so there was no man behind her, but everybody else has their men. So, child, we get the surprise of a lifetime. Apollo walks out and they're like, wait, what? Apollo's here? I understand that they did this for ratings, but there was no point for Phaedra to bring Apollo out. We did not see Apollo in any part of this season. He was barely mentioned, and now you want to bring him out for the reunion? I feel like it was a cheap attention grab to get some ratings and to have everybody talking, but it didn't do anything for me because, one, Apollo and Phaedra are not together, and also Phaedra barely showed any of her life. She never spoke about Apollo, but now you want to bring him out now? I said, okay, girl, I guess. But Andy was thrilled to see him. He's like, oh my gosh, Apollo is so good. I'm happy you're here. He's asking Apollo how he's doing. I was like, look at Andy gushing. But Phaedra says that she invited Apollo today because all the women have been talking and laughing about their relationship and so nosy. So she decided, let me bring him out. So now Phaedra calls out Toya for poking fun and making jokes about Apollo. And Toya says, hold on, Phaedra. I was not talking or joking about Apollo. I was simply asking a question about Apollo and where you guys stand. You're the one who got defensive when we were at the spa, but I was not making fun of you guys. I just had questions. That was it. And we're not surprised because when it comes to Phaedra, anytime you ask her anything about her life, she gets defensive and she's all tight-lipped and she gets all upset. And another reason why I feel like this was a wasted time for her to be on the show. You can't be on these shows collecting a large 6-figure or low 7-figure check and then not open up and share what's going on. That's not how this works. So Apollo jumps in and shares that him and Phaedra's relationship right now is impeccable. He goes on to say that when he first got out of jail, things were rough between them. They would have to meet up at Chick-fil-A for him to see the kids, but now they're all good. Time heals all wounds, and they're great. Now, I don't really believe that. I don't think that everything is just smooth sailing. I still think that there's some tension between Phaedra and Apollo. Andy was so messy asking about Apollo's new wife. He wants to know, how does Apollo's new wife feel about him being here today? Apollo says, yeah, she's cool with it. But then he goes on to add that it's taking a while for everybody to blend and become this happy blended family. I said, yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that. Phaedra was looking like, yeah, I don't want to even meet that lady. Andy goes on to ask Phaedra if she has a relationship with Apollo's new wife. And Phaedra says no and doesn't plan to. I said exactly. Now, I was asking you guys on Twitter, why is there animosity between Phaedra and the new wife? You guys were letting me know that she was talking badly about Phaedra in the press. And then also, this is the same woman that he was cheating on Phaedra with when they were still married. So it makes sense why Phaedra has some bitterness towards the new wife. But all in all, I'm not buying this whole happy family act that they're on great terms. I think that it's still tense between Phaedra and Apollo. It's better than what it used to be, but I still don't think that it's that great. Andy was asking all the juicy questions though. He goes on to ask Apollo, how long was Apollo in jail? We find out that Apollo was in jail for 5.5 years. Phaedra jumps in saying that during that time, it was so crazy. She was pregnant with her second child. She was going back and forth to school in Alabama. She was running the funeral home. She was also running her law firm. And she was also filming on The Housewives. So it was a lot. Now, Apollo and Phaedra both contradict themselves, saying that time heals everything and they're all healed. Because when Andy asked, does Apollo go to the house? He was like, oh yeah, all the time. And then Phaedra said, well, he's at the house, but he doesn't come inside the house. He's outside. I said, so you guys are on great terms? And when he comes to pick up the boys, he's just standing there at the front door. You don't allow him to come in. Now, Andy was really petty, asking if Apollo and Todd still talk. And Apollo says that he actually saw Todd for the first time last week and they talked it out. And I was like, Phaedra's face was tight because anytime Candy and Todd's names are brought up, all she can think about is how she disgraced herself on national TV lying on Candy like that, and how she was almost canceled for life. This third part should have been a one-on-one with Andy and Apollo, because the way Andy was just so interested in Apollo and what he's been through, he goes on to ask if it's true that Apollo and Joe Giudice were in the same prison. And Apollo says, yeah, we would see each other from time to time, but I was in solitary confinement for 100 days. And they were all like, what? Like, what happened? Apollo says, yeah, we can talk about that off camera. I was like, damn. I said, Apollo has truly lived a life. So now we change gears and Andy addresses Cecil's comments about how Dr. G leveled up by getting with Sweet Tea. So Andy wants to know, what did you mean by that? The way Cecil was so embarrassed, he was like, damn, like, I put my foot in my mouth. I didn't mean it that way. All I was saying is Letitia makes him happy. She brings out the best in Dr. G. That's all I meant. But I love Quad, and Quad is an amazing woman. And now we have Andy addressing Quad's comments when she was on Watch What Happens Live about how Sweet Tea is a better fit for Dr. G. And Sweet Tea really pissed me off when she said, I don't think that you should have made that comment because you don't know me. I was like, girl, shut up. She's paying you a compliment. She's saying that your goofy ass belongs with Dr. G's goofy behind too. You guys are a match made in heaven, and she's happy that her goofy ex-husband was able to find love again. It seems like Sweet Tea wants to have an issue with Quad. So since Dr. G and Phaedra are all on the same stage, Andy decides to bring up this $4,000 a month arrangement yet again. Phaedra starts it off by asking, Gregory, when did I ask you for $4,000 a month? Please enlighten me because I want to know. So Dr. G says, well, here's how it went down. When I first met you, I was very taken by you. I was pursuing you, and we had a very frank conversation. You explained to me that you work really hard and how you spend about $4,000 a month on yourself, and you wanted somebody who could do the same for you. We find out that this happened 22 years ago in 2002, and he says, if that's your standard, that's your standard. There's no animosity. But you did ask me for $4,000 a month. You were hanging around with all these ballers and shot callers, and I just didn't have it like that. So Dr. G goes on to say that he took Phaedra to this nice restaurant called Roy's. Phaedra's playing dumb. She's like, what's Roy's? You have Cecil jumping in saying, oh my gosh, Roy's. Everybody knows about Roy's. Roy's was a nice restaurant back in the day. Now, if I'm being honest, I think that Phaedra is lying. I think that she's embarrassed that Dr. G outed her for asking him for money when they first met. I think that if he were lying, she would be able to say, no, that never happened. You're lying. We only went out one time, something. But the fact that Phaedra just sat there and was unable to really state her case, I think that she's lying. I was tired of hearing about this $4,000 a month. Who cares? Phaedra and Dr. G never ended up together. Why are we still talking about this? It's enough already. And Sweet Tea, if I were you, I'd be a bit concerned because you have Dr. G saying, well, in retrospect, I should have lied. I should have said that I do have the $4,000 to give you and maybe me and you would be together now. They were all like, excuse me, sir, what? I said, Dr. G, do you not hear yourself? Your new bride is in front of you and you're talking about you should have lied and tricked on Phaedra and that maybe she would have been your wife now instead of Sweet Tea. I said, you sound crazy. Dr. G does not like that woman a whole lot because for him to say the things that he's saying, it's a mess. So now Apollo jumps in saying that when him and Phaedra got back together at one point, they had that conversation too, and how it's good to know the other person's expectations and how he met Phaedra's expectations. I said, oh, did you? Well, we know that you met it when it came to the D, but when it came to the money, I remember Phaedra was the breadwinner. Phaedra was carrying the household on her back. And now Andy goes on to ask Quad, would Toya have been checking for Eugene if they were in high school? So I was thinking, now Andy, we all know the answer to that. Why are we even doing that? You know that the answer is no. Toya would not have been checking for Eugene in high school. So now Quad reveals that when her and Toya were talking, Toya told her that when they had met during speed dating, Eugene lied and told her that he was a nurse and how she wasn't interested. But then when she found out that he was a physician, then she was like, okay, come back around here. Like, oh, you got a cute coin. Toya didn't look too happy with Quad telling that story, but I said, girl, we're not done. We know that that's what it was. And for all the naysayers who swear that Eugene doesn't like how Toya talks to him, the way I said in my previous recaps that Eugene loves it there, because he even said it himself. He said, you guys can laugh at me and Toya all you want to. You guys can say that the way Toya talks to me is a mess, but I like it here. I love it, and I knew what I was getting myself into. I signed up for this, and I'm not going anywhere. I said, I told you, Eugene is a happy man. He loves everything about Toya, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He loves her attitude. He loves the critiques that she gives him. He can't get enough. So for all y'all saying, Brooke, you're wrong, the way Toya treats him is horrible, and Eugene's gonna leave her one day, he loves it. Which brings me back to my point a few recaps ago when I said that out of everybody on this cast, I think that Toya and Eugene have the strongest marriage. We see Quad apologize to Eugene for calling him a Eugina last season, and it was quick and painless. Eugene says apology accepted, and they're good. Now, we do touch on the whole Hilton Head trip and the mess between Dr. Heavenly and Simone, because Dr. Heavenly was accusing Dr. Simone of purposely picking that trip to hurt Dr. Jackie. So you have Dr. Heavenly trying to clean it up because she knows that Dr. Simone is about to start screaming. She says, Simone, before you start screaming at me, I just want to clear something up. I just thought it would be a trigger for Jackie. I never said that you were being malicious. Now, Dr. Heavenly, we saw the episodes. You were pretty much accusing Dr. Simone of purposely trying to hurt Jackie. So for you to try to say, no, I never thought that you were being malicious, that's not true. I really hated how Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Simone were going back and forth, and you have Dr. Jackie just sitting there saying nothing. Dr. Jackie, speak up. Dr. Jackie does enjoy having Dr. Heavenly there as her mouthpiece, and it's really irritating. Dr. Jackie is very nice, nasty, and she flies under the radar because she's so quiet. I was happy when Dr. Simone clocked Dr. Jackie when she said, it's putting a damper in our relationship every time Heavenly butts in. And Dr. Jackie's so full of it because when she said, I understand that, but it shouldn't. Personally, if I were Dr. Simone, I would have to take some space from Dr. Jackie, because for Dr. Jackie to be so messy at her big age and to allow Dr. Heavenly to butt in like that, we have an issue. Obviously, you don't respect the friendship the way I do, and obviously, you enjoy this chaos and you enjoy having Dr. Heavenly spread seeds of confusion, because for you to not check Heavenly, that's a problem. And I liked how Dr. Simone said, if you can't tell me directly, then nobody else can tell me. And I agree with that. You and I have been friends for over 30 years, and I don't need somebody else telling me how you feel. Either tell me yourself or leave this on the playground. Andy briefly touches on Sweet Tea's outburst when she blew up at Jackie, and Sweet Tea says, I felt like I was being hazed, and I felt like, why do I have to empathize with Jackie when that was 7 years ago, and they've all been ragging on me all this time, and I just blew up. I was just angry. We do see Toya and Alicia go at it for a little bit. They're talking about Toya's opinions on Dr. Kema and his thoughts on women. And Toya says, look, all I'm saying is they do what works for them. We do what works for us. I just hope that Alicia's needs are being met. So you have Dr. Alicia trying to shade, and she says, I have never complained about my husband's penis size. And she's obviously throwing a dig because I think it was either last season or the season before last. Toya had made a comment alluding to Eugene's penis size and how it's not that big. She thought that once they got married, it would get bigger. And that embarrassed Eugene. I mean, that would definitely embarrass any man. Why would you say that out loud? So we see the husbands leave, and the way Dr. Kema was in his feelings because he was upset seeing some of the confessionals of the other husbands, how they were saying that if Kema keeps this up, he's going to be divorced. And so he tries to check Cecil and Eugene, and they were like, look, it's our opinion. So now Kema says, well, I see that we can't have any more guy talk. I was like, Kema, next season you won't even be on this show. Lord willing. You're the one with all these crazy views and outdated views about oral sex and this, that, and the third, and now you want to be upset because people have comments on it? But after all the husbands left, I felt like the remainder of this third part was fluff, but they close it out. And Andy's asking each woman, what are they hopeful for? Heavenly gives some BS answer about how some of her friendships in this group are stronger than others. And then she brings up how her and Toya have had issues in the past, but they're still good. I was just like, okay, girl. The only reason why you have issues with Toya because you're jealous of her, that she has the option to not work. And that bothers you for some reason. So Dr. Simone says that she loves everybody in this group, especially the OGs. And then she says, as it pertains to Quad, she hopes that her and Quad can get close again and that Quad remains in touch with all the ladies year round. And Quad agrees, and we know why, because Miss Quad does want to stay on this show. So now Andy goes on to ask Sweet Tea, what did she think about her first season? And Sweet Tea says that she had some ups and downs. She spiraled a bit, and I said, girl, we know. Because you were ill-prepared to come on reality TV and coming on a show that involved your husband's ex-wife as one of the main cast members and the other lady setting you up for failure, you quickly realized that you were no longer in Kansas anymore, okay? You were in the big leagues and you weren't ready. But she does go on to say that she enjoys her friendships with Dr. Simone, Toya, sometimes Jackie. I said, oop, the shade. Phaedra and Dr. Alicia. Now, Dr. Alicia had me screaming when Andy asked her the same thing. Dr. Alicia said that she learned that Heavenly is a clown. I said, isn't she though? Then she throws shade at Dr. Simone, saying that she realized quickly Dr. Simone will always talk at an above normal hearing range. Now it's Phaedra's turn to say what did she like about being in this new group. Phaedra says that she had a wonderful time with these ladies. It was nice getting to know them. That's why she didn't come in all hot, because she wanted to get to know them on a personal level. And I said, girl, I'm sure you did have a great time because you skated by without sharing your real life and you collected a nice check, barely doing any work. So yeah, I would say the same thing, that you definitely did have a wonderful time. You did a whole lot of nothing and got a whole lot. Andy turns to Toya and asks her, how does she feel about how things were left today? And of course, Toya has to be a Debbie Downer. I think that we swept some things under the rug and brushed past a few things. I said, okay, girl. So now she goes on to add that while she does love this group and how there's always going to be drama, she does think that it's best for the group to move on and not live in the past. So now it's Dr. Jackie's turn, and she says that these are all amazing women and how she wants them all to grow in friendship. And now she turns to Quad and says that since Quad is back in the fold, she wants the old Quad back. And then she goes on that she hopes that her and Sweet Tea can build and that Sweet Tea doesn't curse her out again. Now, Dr. Jackie, just make sure that you're not smug and nice nasty, and Sweet Tea won't curse you out again. And we see Quad saying that she wants them all to be back where they used to be as friends, and how she has to stop being so affected by what she sees on the show. And I said, yes, please, because bringing all this old baggage and holding on to grudges is not going to help you guys move forward. I do hope that for season 11, they are able to work on a real friendship and not exclude anybody. I hope that everybody's able to communicate in better ways. But I think that it's going to take some work for Quad to repair some bonds with a lot of these ladies. But we end this reunion with them toasting to 10 great years together, and that's where we sign off. And y'all, we are done with Married to Medicine season 10. Thank you, Jesus. Won't he do it?
Thank you.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.